Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 riders. 400 watts, in fact now ticking over 400 watts as she starts to go clear. This is a big move by Sakamoto. She certainly didn't want to get caught out.
Half an hour of racing complete. They've ridden it pretty much as a pack until this point, and now is the point of the race where Robaldo has gone, okay, it's time, let's go.
Robaldo and Antico at the moment in Category 3, catching the leaders in Category 4, which will put them into the leaders on the road.
The gap is coming down because at one point it was around a kilometre difference between Alves, Sakamoto and the chase group, and it is down now to 500 metres. Robaldo is the one out front at the moment, and it's Robaldo who is going to see the finish line before Antico. Robaldo goes through the finish line in 1. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are here on March the 26th for our March monthly final. It is going to be a cracking final this month, given the racing we've seen through the 3 qualifiers. My name is Emma Martin, and I am looking forward to bringing you all of the action today. So the women this month have given us some outstanding racing, and today they have a course worthy of the final. So the women today are heading to Arabia, and they are heading to the course you see in front of you. Indeed, it is going to be a cracker. So 35 kilometres of racing, 633 metres of elevation, and most of that, in fact 2/3 of that, comes in that final Category 2 climb. That final climb is 8 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 5.1%, and that checkered flag is going to come at the top of the climb today for our women. So 7 segments along the way, and those are discrete segments that will give us some indication of how the racing is playing out across all of our 4 categories. And just to note, as you can see, it's not a flat course until we get to the bottom of that final climb. Indeed, it is exceptionally rolling in places with some steep kickers that'll give us a lot of action. So the course is going to be a good one today, and you can see already on the start line in those start pens our riders warming up and getting those legs ready for the racing action. So in the yellow jerseys are our Category 1 riders. In the green jerseys are Category 2 riders. Wearing the blue jerseys is Category 3. And the first riders off today are Category 4 in those red jerseys. So 4 different race starts, all with a 5-minute gap between. So Category 4 will be the first riders underway. And Category 1 still over 16 minutes until their race start. So our Category 4 riders, we are in the finals, so the team competition comes into play as well as the individual competition. So the teams on start sheets today in Category 4, the recreational runners, the ENECM team, and the UWU Coays. Now, this is absolutely anybody's race today, not just in the individual race, but in this team category as well. We have 8 women on the start sheets today who have taken top 5 positions in this category throughout March. And they are spread across the teams. The recreational runners have Pablo, Vink, Agudelo, and Gonzalez. The UWU Coays have Salazar and Fernanda. And Tandigan and Gallego are in the ENECM team. So it is absolutely all to play for and going to give us some great action, I think, on the course today. So while Category 1 still have more than 15 minutes until the start goes. Our category 4 riders are lined up with 20 seconds to go. So 11 riders on the start sheets in this category 4 race with those 3 teams. As we said, we've seen 8 different riders in this group taking top 5 positions already this month. So as the banner goes down on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for the finals in March, our category 4 riders are underway. We are in with these riders as they move out of the start pens and they take across the bridge and onto the course. So Gonzalez and Agudela are leading this out. Tandingen is in there as well. It was indeed Fernanda who took the win in our February final. So this is going to be an exciting race. So Tandingen, Fernanda, Agudelo, Salazar, Giraldo, Vink, Pablo, all of these riders in this group just pushing on at the moment. So a good strong pace out of the start banner as these women move into this final. So the front of this pack rotating through, but no rider pushing on too hard at the start here. These riders continuing to ride steady out from the pen. So on the top right hand corner of your screen you can see the graphic here with that really tight blob of riders. Will later on give you some really good indication of the action in the race today. It also gives you the elevation the riders have travelled, as well as an indication of what the course is about to do in front of the riders. You can see that from the flat section of course with the little green arrow on the top corner of your right hand screen. Further down on the right hand side you can see the riders as we are watching them. We're currently in with Gonzalez. That rider is highlighted in purple. That's the rider we are watching. Giraldo is in red because Giraldo is pushing on a little bit in the pack there, and that is indicating that was the rider who was pushing on. So you will see a rider attacking, going into the red, and you will see yellow highlighted names there for riders who are also pushing on in that pack. On the top left hand side of your screen you'll see the riders information. So currently in with Giraldo putting out 143 watts, now 266. In green, that indicated that Giraldo was in the draft. As she took to the front of that pack, the numbers changed to black and indicating she was out of that draft. Cadence at 103, heart rate 163, and then 50 kilometers an hour, the current speed, 2 minutes 51 of race time complete, 1.69 kilometers covered. So this pack are indeed pushing on, and Fernanda and Tandingen and Gonzalez are the riders at the front of the pack doing that pushing. As you can see the stretch on that group on that top right hand graphic, it gives you a really good indication of what is going on. You can see on our camera shot here a small gap now forming in this group as Tandingen and Fernanda push this group through and start to stretch this racing out. So Tandingen from the CM team working strongly on the front there. Vink is in there as well from the recreational runners. Now Ella Vink having had a 5th place during March already. A strong rider, often in the groups and the breakaways here, but these women now forming a bit of a split in that pack to a leading group on the road. So as we are watching the category 4 riders underway, the next group of riders due to start today will be our category 3 riders in those blue jerseys. So our category 3 today, 13 riders on the start sheets and 3 teams. So Pink Speed, Team Golden Light and Climber Girls in those blue jerseys. And with Ribaldo, Antico, Fioroni, and Lopez. Pink Speed, I think, are going to be the team to beat. But Climber Girls, Huguita's been riding well. Garcia, Arrayas is in there as well. Team Golden Light, Jose Zabala, and Quintero. Quintero has taken a third place this month, so not to discount those either. So, yet again, a good, strong field for us today for this March final. So, with less than 10 seconds on the clock, the power starts to wind up from our riders in Category 3. Away, Category 3 goes from the start line for the March final of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. These riders pushing on, pushing out of the start pens and on to the course. We are in with Fioroni, Barco, Antico is in here, Jose Zabala, Huguita, Lopez, all riders who have ridden strongly throughout the month and riders who are going to make the action today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So Barco just stretching this group out and pushing on here. Barco not wanting an easy start here. Barco showing us her absolute intention from the start here as Barco pushes at sprinting at 8 watts per kilo away from these start group as the group not responding behind. Now Antico coming to the front of that group, feeling the work needs to be done to not let Barco go. We've got 1 or 2 riders just in danger of missing the back of that group at the moment, but that group now coming back together and starting to see Barco, but Barco testing these riders and testing them early today. So with less than 1 kilometre under their wheels, Barco has already pushed on. Adriana Barco showing us her intention early in this race. Quintero, Antica, Huguita, Lopez, Zabala, all now coming back up onto Barco's wheel. Fioroni is the rider who we are in with at the moment, as Golden Light is also in here. These riders not letting this start be an easy one for this Category 3 race field. So this first kilometre for Category 3 has been fast and furious, but over in the Category 4 race, it's Tandingen and Fernanda who are pushing on, and the stretch on that Category 4 race field is astounding at the moment with the action early on. They're coming up to 4 kilometres of racing complete in that Category 4 race. And it's 4 fast kilometres because Tandingen and Fernanda have been joined by Pablo. There's a 2-second gap now back to Gonzalez and Salazar and Vink in the chasing group. So not ones to sit on their laurels. Fernanda, our February final winner in that 3-woman group, pushing on at the front there. The gap's starting to close down, but it's a really fast start for our riders today. So Category 4 and Category 3 going hard from the gun in this Sunday final now in March, which is on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We can see the action is fast and furious. In fact, take a look back as our Category 3 riders are coming up to 2 kilometres of racing under the wheels. They are also continuing to push on and the pace is high. We're on a slight downhill section, but the pace is sat at 42 kilometres per hour at the moment. So really wanting to go out with the intention of stamping their authority on this race today. So Lopez is the rider at the front of this pack, Jose Zabala and Antico in 2 and 3. Quintero is there as well as they continue to roll through with a constantly rolling, changing leader on this group and continuing to keep that pace high. So the riders are now at 2.3 kilometres into this 35-kilometre course. These Category 3 riders continuing to push on. Our Category 4 riders at 5.1 kilometres into the 35-kilometre course and also keeping that pace high today. Our Category 2 riders are the next riders to start in those green jerseys, and they are awaiting the go on that start banner. So Reynard and her colleagues sit on that start line, and it's a packed field again in this category 2 race. So 21 riders on the start sheets today, and 6 teams. Team RT Cycle Zone Ladies 1, Magic Wheels. Strong Women, Endurance Team, Try Women are there as well, and the RT Cycle Zone Ladies, one with Hadlock, Conan, Tan and Olsen, have got to be one to beat, but the Endurance Team have got Gutierrez, Cerna, Sanchez and Reynard. Try Women, Sinelli, Lantari, Carana and Montoya, all riders who have taken top 5 positions throughout March already. So again, this could be a strong ride. It was Osario who took the win last month from Sinelli and Kokkonen, but we are in with Reynard as the numbers go into the red in this group as they kick out that start line at a fast pace, just like Category 3 and Category 4 that we've seen with the earlier starts, as Angie Parra is the rider to push on and push on hard. Angie Parra is sprinting off that start line at 10 watts per kilo, absolutely wanting the pace to be high, because 21 riders in this race field, 9 of which who have taken top 5 positions throughout March, is an absolute competition that Parra wants to get going from the start. So as Parra rides off the front of this group during their start, there's 5-second gap back to the chase group. As you can just see there, it's Hadlock and Tijeras and Kokkonen who are at the front of that group. There is no panic coming from this group at the moment. Parra, often one of our riders who we see kick really hard at the start and lead those groups out. So with less than 1 kilometre under their wheels, we have Angie Parra out front. We have a chase group 4 seconds behind now. So this chase group just 4 seconds back from Parra. Parra, the rider you can see in the distance, just on the corner, going out of sight. So our Category 2 race field had 3 different winners throughout the month of March. So Antico took round 1, Osorio took round 2, and Manuela Sanchez took round 3. A really strong and really competitive field as this group come back up onto Angie Parra's wheel. So the group all back together now after that really hard start push from Parra. So our Category 3 race field coming up for 4 kilometres now, pushing on and over the bridge, over the water before they hit that city. We are seeing them moving and moving well. So currently 36 kilometres an hour from our Category 3 riders, 36 kilometres an hour from our Category 2 packs. These packs are moving well, and they are moving fast through these early stages of this course. Now, as we mentioned earlier on, it is a Category 2 climb for these women on this race course today. That's 2/3 of the total climb elevation coming in that Category 2 climb, which is the last 8 kilometres of this course today. It's got a 5.1% average gradient, and there will be steeper sections. But until we get to that point, the course is rolling, and it is this rolling course that will allow small attacks to go if these riders choose to attack. And as we can see, we've got some action on that Category 2 race field. It's stretched, that race field, and that stretch you can see really indicates that the pace is high at the front. When we see the riders in a tight group and 3-4 riders across the road, it indicates that the riders are moving at a very similar pace, just as we are starting to see that long stretch now come into a group of riders, 3 or 4 across the road. So as the pace lifts off and this group all comes back together again, we can see we are in with Carana. So Carana, the rider highlighted in purple on the bottom right hand corner of your screen, indicating that that is the rider we are sat in with, and that is the rider whose statistics we can see on the top left hand corner of the screen. So as this group continue to roll on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, we are on the March final, and it's the 26th of March today. tomorrow, let's not forget, the registrations open for the MyWhoosh Championships. But until that point, we've still got the Category 1 riders in those yellow jerseys to get underway today. So we are in with Menezes, Jacina Menezes, one of our Category 1 riders. Alongside her, 23 other riders on the start sheets today and 6 teams in that Category 1 race. So the Sweet Bikers, Beast Mode powered by Rose, the Fusion Squad, all strong teams are joined by Crank Sisters, Free Riders and Forza Donna. Now, with Menezes, Bauer, Brogan and Quevedo, can anybody beat the Crank Sisters today? It is going to be a really hard task, but Bjarhed, Embring, Fua and Bardeskaya, the Fusion Squad are there, along with other riders, which we can talk about once this race is underway. So Menezes is the rider we are in with. As away go our Category 1 women on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is the March final, and this group of riders are out of the start pen and away and onto the course. So we are in with Jojo Bauer. Bauer being one of our riders who has regularly finished in the top 5 this month. In fact, Bauer has 2 second places and a 3rd place this month, so not out of the top 3. Can she top 3 today and keep that record clean? So Bauer, Embring, Alves, Rendon. These riders are rotating through the front of this field now. 24 riders in total in this start sheets today, but Daniels, Bjarhed, Sanchez, all still in here and in here rotating through and off. So these riders have gone out hard from the gun, currently just shy of 40 kph on this flat section. Of course, very little flat section on this course today, with significant rolling sections before we come into that final 8-kilometre climb. We are going to see 7 segments along the way that will give us indications of how these women are faring and what is happening. But what is happening in this Category 3 race is Alicia Antico is putting in a huge dig. So Antico has gone hard off of this Category 3 race as she crosses the bridge here. She's got a 17-second gap now, and nearly 300 meters between her and the chasing field. So the chasing field has Quintero and Higuita on the front. Ribaudo and Montoya are in there as well. So is Light, as they are now chasing Alessia Antico, 20 seconds and stretching. So we're seeing the Category 3 race really pulled apart already. They are not even 10 kilometres into this race today, and it is moving really fast and furious, with Antico putting that attack in, and that attack in early. Further back down the course, in fact, just coming up for 1.5 kilometres into this race today is our Category 1 race field. A big pack on the road and moving as a pack. So coming up for 2 kilometres for Category 1, coming up for 4.5 kilometres for Category 2. Category 3 now at 7.3 kilometres, and Category 4 just shy of 10 kilometres now on this Sunday Race Club. So the gap between Category 1 and our leaders on the road are Category 4 riders, just shy of 8 kilometres at the moment. It's expected that by the time we get to the latter stages of the race, we should see this Category 1 field move past Category 2, Category 3 and maybe even Category 4 for the penultimate stages of this climb today. So we are in with Bauer at the moment, Carmona, Brogan, Alves, Dalassi in here as well. These riders in this group, and this group is still a tight group, moving fast, around 40 kilometres an hour on this flat section, just coming through and past the marina here as they move into the roundabout. So it's a tight group and a tight pack coming into the roundabout in this Category 1 race field. Now, our first segment comes at 3 kilometres today. It is a 1 kilometre segment, and it is a pretty flat segment as well, which will give us the first set of indications as to how the racing is going here and how the different 4 categories are moving through those packs and those fields. So as Category 1 continues to roll in a group today, it's a tight group, and you can see that from the graphic on the top right-hand corner of your screen. The group is all bunched up and over as the gradient just starts to climb a little, sat at around 2% there. And you can see in front of you on the graphic that blue banner is coming up for that Category 1 race field. That is the indicator of the start of our first segment for those riders coming at 3 kilometres. So our Category 1 bunch move through now and under the start banner of the first segment today. Now we have 7 segments today, 3 at 1 kilometre in distance, 1 at 2 kilometres, 1 at 2.5 kilometres, 1 at 3, and the final segment, number 7, is 5 kilometres in length, and indeed that one doesn't start until our riders are onto the final Category 2 climb. In fact, it starts on the climb, it finishes on the climb, and after that final segment there is still 2 kilometres of climbing to the finish line and the checkered flag for our women today. So Jenny Daniel is in here tightly in the pack. Now Daniel is one of our riders for the Beast Mode powered by Rose squad, a more recent squad joining the Sunday Race Club, and if you are watching this and thinking you would like to join us on the start line, the qualifiers start again in April next Sunday, and it would be great to see you on that start line with us. Head over to the MyWhoosh website, head over to the events page and click on the Sunday Race Club. There is all the information you need to join us. You will find there, you will find the technical guide, you will find the rule set, and you will find all the frequently asked questions. Take a look, take a read, and sign up and join us for the Sunday Race Club in April. So our Category 1 riders just climbing over the bridge and deciding to stretch their legs a little. It's Fernanda Alves who is the rider stretching those legs and just putting in that first little dig here. In fact, it's Geraldo Arrayas who's the rider on her wheel. Bauer watching what's going on there as well, and Gonzalez Rua is the rider pulling that group across. So Fernanda Alves, the rider digging in, she's now on the descent over that bridge and coming into the city. A small gap now of just 2 seconds back, but Quevedo is there watching what's going on, and that dig from Alves just coming through, and those riders taking the fastest time through segment number 1. So it is indeed our Category 1 riders: Alves, Geraldo, Carvajal, Bauer, Gonzalez Ruiz, Biarhead, Bardescaya, Quevedo, Walkenhorst, Embring, Fua and Montoya, the top 12 riders through the fastest on segment number 1 today. So our Category 1 riders showing us that they are starting fast today. Now, through that segment, 18 riders in that group of Category 1 riders. So 24 on the start sheets, 18 going through that first segment together. Now, interesting to see, it's our Category 4 riders setting the second fastest time through that segment. And interesting because it was Tandingen and Fernanda who had put in an early attack in that Category 4 race, and that's showing really strongly in those results. So segment 1 now all our riders through. Segment 2 coming at 7.2 kilometres. So some way still to go for our Category 1 riders to see that blue banner at the start of segment number 2. But Alves not giving up on the push on she's doing here on the front of this Category 1 race, but Quevedo now bringing the rest of those riders up and on to her wheel. So as Quevedo joins Alves at the front of the Category 1 race further down the road. In fact, at 13.5 kilometres, Fernanda and Tandingen have Gonzalez with them. Looking at this, there are 5 riders in that lead group. So we have Gonzalez, Tandingen, Fernanda, Pablo and Agudela, the riders clear at the moment in this Category 4 race. Now, the chase group is not far behind. Salazar and Gallego are only 12 seconds behind. Vink is with them too, but then it is 3 minutes back to Giraldo. So it's looking like we've got a group of 5 riders clear in this Category 4 race. We've got a chase group now at 8 seconds of Salazar, Vink, and then we've got a rider off the back, so 5 and 3 in that Category 4 race. In our Category 2 race, it's Alessia Lantari who's putting a dig in over this bridge. So you can see the climb up and over this bridge here, currently just shy of 6%. Lantari is making use of that gradient to push on in this Category 2 race. It's Tejeros who is the rider responding behind, with Hadlock and Sanelli not wanting to let Lantari go. Lanteri is a strong rider. She took the win in qualifier number 1, and she's continued to ride strongly throughout the rest of the month, placing in the top 5 in the other 2 qualifiers. So she is someone this group need to keep an eye on, and it is Tejeros and Sanelli, Paris, Sanchez and Hamasan. Kekkonen as well is in this group. Now this group are wide across the road, indicating they are all moving at a good pace. They're all moving at a similar pace, and this pack is moving strongly. They've dropped 1 rider off the back of this group at the moment, but they are chasing Lanteri down the road. You can see our Category 2 races at 8.7 kilometres. At 6.3 kilometres is our Category 1 race pack. Now our Category 1 race pack still all together, but it was 18 riders together at the last count in this group, and it's Bauer who are leading this group across the road. So our Category 1 race field, 6.5 kilometres. Category 2, 8.9, coming up for 9 kilometres down the road. At 12.8 kilometres is Antico, our leader in the Category 3 race. And our Category 4 race just over 14.5 kilometres down the road. So all 4 of our race categories pushing on strongly. We've got 5 leaders in the Category 4 race, a lone leader in the Category 3 race, but in the Category 1 and the Category 2 race, the pack is at the front. So 2.4 kilometres separating this Category 1 race field with the Category 2 race field, as we see these 18 riders now go under the start banner of segment number 2. So this segment is another 1 kilometre segment, and it'll give us an indication of how this group of Category 1 riders are rolling on this course. Now, currently, with the fastest time through this segment is Alessia Antico, who is currently pushing on in our Category 3 race. Indicating, as we saw earlier, that attack and that hard attack coming from Antico. This Category 1 race field, as they swoop round this right-hand corner with that beach on the right-hand side, all together across the road and moving as a group. They're moving well at just shy of 35 kilometres an hour, but no attacks coming at the moment from this group. Very happy to ride these earlier stages of this race today as a group all together. Now, for those of you who joined the start of the men's race earlier and have switched over to watching the women's race, or have both of these races on your screen at the same time, it's fantastic for you to join us if you are watching the women's race. The men's race is also concurrent at the moment, and one to watch once the women's race has complete. So head on over to the YouTube channel and don't forget to watch the men's race as well. When the men's race is finished, Matt Payne is going to be joining us from that race in the studio here to watch and join us for the end of the women's race as we see some action again across this bridge from Alves, followed by Bauer in this Category 1 women's race. So looking at segment number 2 now, we can see it is indeed Antico who takes the fastest time through that section. So 1 minute 36. Then we see Gonzalez and Fernanda from indeed category 4, putting in a push on the front because we've got a 5-woman breakaway on that before we see our category 1 pack coming through. So Alves and Geraldo, Cavajal, Quevedo, Bauer, Bardescaya, Estrada, Rendon and Gonzalez, Rua rounding out the top 12 there. But it's the action from the other categories that is giving us the fast times through segment number 2. So whilst it is the action on the other categories indicating the faster times through segment number 2, it is Bauer on the front of category number 1 on this climb over the bridge at the moment. So the gradient is now just shy of 3%. Bauer is pushing on at the front here. Rendon is there as well. So is Fua. So is Estrada and Bardescaya. Montoya is in here too. Quevedo is following the wheel. This group are all across the road at the moment. Very well matched in this category 1 field. In our category 3 race field, Antico has extended her lead down the road. She's 1 minute 20 seconds up on Ribaldo because Ribaldo has decided that she is pushing on as well. And this category 3 race field has been split apart by Antico's attack. So Antico in 1, Ribaldo in 2. It's Higuita who is joining Ribaldo in this chase now with Barco. You can see just behind Quintero and Golden Light and Montoya are the riders in the chase group behind, but they are now some way behind. So Alessia Antico's attack has stuck 1 minute 23 up the road. Higuita and Ribaldo in 2 and 3. The 2 riders you can see on the screen at the moment. 4 seconds back is Barco. Golden Light and the chase group are another 15 seconds down on that. So the front of this category 3 race all over the road at the moment. So as Ribaldo and Higuita come up to the 15 kilometers covered mark, Antico is indeed 600 meters further down the road in front of these 2 riders at the moment. You can just see on the graphic on the top right hand corner of your screen, Barco is our rider in 4th place in this category, just coming onto the screen and just starting to close that gap a little bit down. I would expect that 2 to become a 3 and then us to have a group of 3 chasing Antico in that category 3 race. So back in our category 1 group, this pack are all still together. Just over 10 kilometers for them now. At 11 kilometers, they will come up to the start of segment number 3. Segment number 3 is a 3-kilometer segment. So the gradient now just shy of 5% for these women in this category 1 race. You can see the bridge stretching in front of them. It's curving and it goes round to the left there. Now, at 13 kilometers is the front of our category 2 race, the front of our category 3 race at 15.5 kilometers. And the riders on the lead on the road today at the moment is our category 4 race at just coming up for 18 kilometers. So 7.5 kilometers in front of our category 1 race field is our lead riders on the road in that category 4 race. Now Gonzalez and Fernanda are there with Pablo, and those 3 riders are the riders clear in that category 4 race. So as the pack move in the category 1 race altogether, we've got a 4th rider join that lead group at the front of the race, and that is indeed Salazar. So Salazar is the rider who has joined that group, and the rest of that category 4 chase group are now all coming up alongside Salazar and that pack. So Salazar has indeed towed Ella Vink back to this group. So now we have Agudelo, Gonzalez, Salazar, Pablo, Fernanda, Vink, all these 7 riders in this lead group now all together as they drop down this descent and then into a flatter section where this group will be able to work together. So Gonzalez, Agudelo, Tanning and Fernanda, Vink, all together here now. These are the lead riders on the road today, coming up for 19 kilometers travelled in this race. These riders keeping a really strong pace and continuing to move well at the moment. So still some way back to our category 3 riders. That is a lone leader at the moment in Alessia Antico. And as we talk about a lone leader, it is indeed Jenny Sanchez who has gone on the attack in that category 2 race. So Sanchez here using that bridge and using that climb that we've seen the other riders go over. So Jenny Sanchez using the terrain to her advantage as she puts a dig and she puts a kick in up and over the bridge to put a gap in onto this category 2 race. She's got 12 seconds at the moment and over 100 meters. That is a cracking effort from Jenny Sanchez. Now Manuela Sanchez is the rider leading the chase from behind, with Tejeros, Lantari and Agudelo. Hadlock is 1 second back as this group are all stretching and responding to that attack from Jenny Sanchez. They can just see Sanchez going into that tunnel ahead of them as this group continue to move, and this category 2 pack not picking up and moving particularly fast at the moment, but they have indeed started to catch the back of the category 3 race field and will now start to see other categories on the road ahead of them. So as this category 2 pack come into the tunnels under the sea, it's Manuela Sanchez we are in with here. Hamas and Fernanda Olsen are all in here with Tejeros chasing our lone attacker in this, and that indeed is Sanchez. That is Julie Sanchez. So Jenny Sanchez here being our lone leader here. In fact, the rider in the distance that you can see in that shot is a category 4 rider Sanchez has overtaken. So Sanchez now catching the back of that category 4 race field, and the next rider she's going to see is Sarasuk. Sarasuk is another one of our category 4 race field who is going to see Jenny Sanchez ride past her like she's standing still. So Sanchez continuing to pick off our back markers here in the other race fields as she pushes on in that category 2 race. She's pushing on and she's using the terrain to her advantage here as she is pushing up this climb here. So the climb currently at around 3.5%, and Sanchez pushing on and pushing out of the tunnel now and continuing to move well. 22 seconds back to the chase group of category 2 riders, currently being led by Tejeros and Fernanda. Hamasan is in there as well, and Lantari. So continuing to push and continuing to work. Our category 1 race field still all together, coming up for 13.5 kilometers into this race. They are midpoint now in that segment number 3, the 3 kilometer segment we were talking about as they come up onto this bridge. Now they are shortly going to feel the gradient start to rise under their wheels, and they are currently about to swoop around that left-hand bend as the gradient starts to kick over 2%. So Quevedo is leading this group out with Estrada and Biarhead. Brogan is in there as well. This group not really pushing on and not seeing the attacks coming from this category 1 race field that we have seen from some of the other categories. So just over 2 kilometers down the road is our category 2 race field from these category 1 riders. Our category 3 race field at 18 kilometers, so they are now 5 kilometers down the road. So this category 1 race field, all of a pack and all of still together as they come under the end banner of that segment number 3. So segment number 2 gave us some interesting inside information into the racing today, and so does segment number 3. So we've seen Alessia and Tico put in that huge attack on that race field, and indeed, look at that, she's set that fastest time through that segment as 4 minutes 42 seconds. Indeed, nearly 10 seconds quicker than Jenny Sanchez, who is putting the attack in to the Category 2 race field. Salazar and the group pulled across and closed the gap to the attack in the Category 4 race field. Again, we can see that as one of the fastest times in that section, and it's the Category 1 race field that takes 4th through to 12th. So as we are in with this Category 1 race field, as they come into the tunnels and they start to see in the distance the riders who have been distanced off of the other categories, I'm joined in the studio by Matt Payne. He's joining us fresh from the finale of the men's final that is complete, but no spoilers, Matt, but I'm assuming it was a great race.
I wouldn't say fresh. I have to say, I'm not sure if fresh is the right word. It was an absolute cracker. If you haven't been watching, and I'm sure you haven't, I'm sure you've been watching the women's race, please do go and click on it. If you watch a race, or make sure you watch that, particularly the final climb, a very similar profile, in fact, to the women's race that we're on with now. But great to see, really interesting, some interesting tactics as well from the teams in the various categories. And I don't know about the women's race because I'm going to need you to give me a little bit of an update, Emma, but certainly in the men's race we saw the team tactics affecting how the riders rode the race, much more so this time around because of course there's prize money in the finals for the teams than we've seen in the qualifying. Is that the same now?
Well, shall we have a little run through for you and also update our viewers? So if any of those of you who have been watching the men's race have joined us for the second half of the women's race, welcome to the feed. It's great to have you with us. I, for one, will be watching the end of the men's race later. As we are on screen at the moment, we can see the pack here of our Category 1 race field just starting to pick up the back markers of the other race fields here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So our Category 1 race started with 24 riders. We are down to a pack of 18 riders, but recently we have seen very few attacks coming from this Category 1 race field. They seem very intent and happy to ride through as a group here, but the pace remains strong and the pace remains high, starting to work the way through the back markers of the Category 2 race field, but that's not what we've seen in the other 3 race categories.
So the other race categories that we've got, and we've got Category 1 just easing off a little bit, maybe not so many attacks. He's saying many more attacks in there. Categories 2, 3 and 4, what's been the standout attacks?
So Category 2 at the moment are at 18 kilometres, so just holding over 2 kilometres further down the road than the Category 1 lead field, still after 32 minutes of racing, which gives you an indication of the pace of that Category 1 pack as opposed to the Category 2 race field. But as you can see, all those attacks in Category 2 have now come back together again, and that is now a tight group and a large group of riders on the road. Category 3, we've seen attacks go off the front. We've seen Antico go off the front of that pack, and we've seen the riders chasing and the riders chasing hard, currently at 20.7 kilometres. So still a good distance between Category 3 front of the pack and Category 2 front of the pack. And in Category 4, we saw a group of 3 riders go clear, a chase group of 4, and now those 2 groups coming back together again to give us a lead group of 7 who are still stretching each other on the road. And as you can see there, it's Gonzalez and Tandingen, Fernanda as well, with Salazar, Pablo and Vink, who are in that group coming up for 24 kilometres racing. Now, that Category 4 pack have had so much action. They are 3 kilometres still down the road from the front of the Category 3 pack.
That is serious going. And just looking at the composition of Category 4 at the moment, we've got some really strong names in there, people like Pablo, Tandigan, Salazar, Vink. You know, they really are some of the really strong riders in there, and they've proven that week in, week out. They're holding their own against Category 3 at the moment, and we're seeing, I think, Category 4, Category 3, 2, and 1 growing not just in numbers, but in terms of the abilities of all of the riders across all categories. We're seeing riders getting much better every time.
Yeah, well, I think there's also some confidence coming out here now, Matt, across our 4 categories. You know, it's well established now. The 4 different start times are well established. The 4 categories, we used to have 3. We've now gone to 4. They're all really well established, and actually they are starting to show real confidence in their racing. And also in this structure now with the time gaps between the starts, you know, there are real plans in play as to, you know, particularly for category 4, you know, they are the leaders on the road.
Yeah.
And how long they can stay the leaders on the road, I think, is becoming one of their tactics.
Well, it would be for me, you know, it doesn't matter what category you are. If you can be the fastest rider, that is absolutely critical. You want to be number one. You want to be right there. And there's something about leading a race out. But equally, you've got to think here, there's big prize money, isn't there? I mean, we're talking top prizes for the top 5 and prizes for the top 5 teams in each category as well. And they're not to be sneezed at, are they?
No, not at all. So for first placed individual in the category 1 race today, it's 10,000 AED. For first place team in category 1, it's 50,000 AED.
Yes, please.
Now, in dollars, that's $2,700 for the individual price and $13,600 for the team prize. So you are quite right, there is a lot of money at stake, and of course those prizes go for top 5 individuals in each of the 4 categories and top 5 teams in each of the 4 categories as well. Obviously they are graded through there, but those prizes are not to be sniffed at.
Definitely not now. If I was racing in this, I think those prizes would always be in the back of my mind. I'd do the classic pros trick. I would have not just the course profile in front of me, because when you're racing on the road, I mean, when I was on the road and I was racing, I would always have a course profile or the key kilometers put on the handlebar stem. Here, you've got so much more information. In fact, you can have a printout of this, and this will be definitely up on my wall. If I was racing, I'd be looking at the just the uphill sections, it's how fast it transitions from the up to the down.
Yeah, well, looking at that profile, Matt, where would you attack if you were riding in this category 1 race field and you are all still together at the moment in a large bunch of 18 riders? Looking at that profile, are you going to leave it till the final climb?
No, no way on this earth would I leave it to the final climb. If I hadn't attacked in the climb up to kilometre 14 and a half there, so that is in segment 3, the slight dip, the flat section, and over the top, I'd have wanted to take that group down there and break that group into a smaller group there, because that would then mean that I have more of a chance as we moved on. But I'd still want strength in numbers. For me, the climb that comes in just before the finishing climb, that would be where I try and break it. And if you see here, this is what we've got. We've got this dip, the rise, the dip, the fall, this constant change of pace is going to make it hard for climbers. Climbers like to sit at one tempo. They don't want to have it broken up, and they certainly don't want to be working hard before the final climb. If you can do that now, that is really key. For me, if you haven't broken it by the time you get into that final climb, you're going to see a climber take the win here today, and that is going to be tough stuff. I mean, at the moment, we're at 19 kilometers into this course. We've got a rise, and then we've got the drop down to that key pot, and the real key for me is going to be who is moving fast at this section. We see another move up here. Brogan looking strong once again. Bauer once again answering the moves. Embring, Bardeskaya, Fua. These are riders we've seen in, week out. I think this is going to give us a really good indication here. Interesting to see Jenny Sanchez right up at the top of the standings, though.
Well, it was indeed Jenny Sanchez who put the attack in at the front of the category 2 race, and she pushed on, and she's pushed on hard. And that's what this segment result shows us. But look at that. It is indeed the category 1 race field who, whilst are all still together, are moving at a strong pace. So Alves, Carvajal, Bauer, Biarhead, Gonzalez, Rua, Fua, Ramirez, Giraldo, Vanden Velden, Quevedo, and Menendez, you know, are coming through in the rest of that pack. Now, I'm going to look, and I'm going to have a little look here, Matt, and see how many riders we've still got in that pack at the front. I think we've still got 18.
So I think while Seb is having a quick look, we'll have a look at Jenny Sanchez now. Jenny Sanchez going on the attack. I love an attacking rider. I always used to go on suicide attacks. They were totally suicidal because there's no way I was going to stay off the front. Jenny Sanchez pushing on here. This is a big gap, 45 seconds. But we've seen Jenny and Manuela Sanchez time and time again. They are the attacking riders. Angie Power doing the same. Category 2 is very much like the men's category 2. The women's category 2, it's almost the more aggressive of all of the categories in each of the men's and women's races. And I think for me, that's partly because everybody feels they're in with a chance, whereas in category 1, it is very, very tough to break away. But look at this. Fernanda Alves on this climb has continued to push clear and has opened up a little bit of a gap here. She was the fastest category 1 rider through the segment, and she's continuing onwards, but 4.7, 4.9 watts per kilo, that's not decisive.
No, it's not decisive at all, and Alves has already pushed on a little earlier on, and she was the first rider off of this group to push on, and the rest of the group brought her back very quickly. They watched how far she pushed, and it's Brogan who is on the front, just covering the front, and with Bjarhed, Bauer, Estrada watching what is going on, and Bardeskaya is in there as well. Now, these riders are strong riders and they know what they are doing. They are technical riders as well, and they are just keeping an eye on Alves out there and not letting that gap go too far. Brogan is just pushing on a little bit harder because she's looking at that time gap, and it's now getting to about 10 seconds, but not wanting to let it go much further. We've now got a category 4 rider in the mix as well, being overtaken by this group and getting caught.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as they come in and through. The team riders working well together here. I mean, Brogan and Bauer, teammates with Quevedo and Menezes in Crank Sisters. Very strong team, very, very strong team there. And they're a proven team with a proven track record in there. But you look at Alves, Julie Sanchez and Van der Velden. They are riding strongly as well for the sweet bikes. They are right in the mix. And at the moment, it's not even close to being decided in terms of team competition. And I think that's why we're seeing these riders being a little bit more tactical in some ways. And yet in others, they're really throwing everything at it. They can't afford to let a group go, because they will be distanced from it, and really interesting to see how that's playing out.
Yeah, well, this is indeed the section of course, Matt, that you were saying where you were going to attack. So you picked that one and got that one right. So Alves is the rider going around that right-hand bend at the front in the distance, the group chasing behind. Now they've got to get to the top of this climb. They drop, they level, they drop again. Then there is a steep kicker before they have the flatland run into the main category 2 climb today. So Alves utilizing the climb here to push on and get a gap from the group. That gap now at 14 seconds, but can she hold this gap, and will it do her any good taking 15 seconds into that main category 2 climb?
It's going to do her good, because it's going to do two things. The group at the moment are all over the road. They're not in one long line. This is not a fast enough pace to bring Alves back. So Alves at the moment is out in front. Okay, she's working on her own, but now once they start to pick up the pace, what they're going to have to do, they are going to have to work to close her down. That means they're having to work. It means that her teammates are going to be taking an easier ride, because you don't chase a teammate. You sit in that group, you take a rest, you let all the other teams do the work. You make them think that they are on the back foot. You're putting into people's heads, God, this is strong today. She's really riding well. That is by putting that attack in. We've got this dip. You can see the dip, and then you can see the rise up coming. And that's where the category 2 riders are at the moment, on the right-hand side of the screen. So for me, category 1 descending, coming into the dip and into the rise. Category 2 at the moment are looking very, very strong. They're going over this, they're on this climb here, and this is the final opportunity before the final climb. So if you want to weaken those climbers' legs, this is your last chance. The problem is that unless you're really good at recovering, you haven't got enough time between here and the final climb to get that recovery in.
Well, interesting to see Jenny Sanchez is still out in the lead, and she's still distance from this group, but that gap now is at 20 seconds. So Sanchez 20 seconds up the road from this group, which are the chase group, in this Category 2 race. Tijeros, Manuela Sanchez is in here as well. So is Hermasen and Santiago, Caruana, Hadlock as well. It's a strong group, and it's a big group, Matt, and a big group we can see chasing Sanchez, who is 20 seconds up the road. So as this Category 2 pack stretches on its chase of Sanchez, we drop back in with Category 1, and it's Category 1 who are chasing Fernanda Alves, who is 18 seconds up the road from this chase group. Now, we've seen, Matt, on final climbs where the climbs are of this type of distance and gradient, we've seen people lose a lot of time. Are we going to see things change dramatically, do you think, in the last 8K of this race, or do you think the attacks that we've seen from Alves and from Sanchez could indeed stick?
Well, I don't think they're going to stick. I think they will get closed down, but it's who's left when they get closed down and how far up that race field they are. If you're a pure climber, you'd sit and get as much rest on the way in. But if you're a smart climber who's very, very confident, feeling incredibly strong, you can go hard early and really make people take the pace and take a bit of a stick on the way through. Alves is attacked there. The group behind are not putting a concerted chase in. Not everybody's taking a turn. There are one or two riders on the front doing the work. There's not really any kind of organised chase back there. So the teams are going to have to start talking to each other. Now, you might say, well, do you know what? She's going to go pop. Yes. But are you prepared to take that risk with the prize money that's on offer here? Are you prepared for her to come in the mix for her team, potentially score a better position and better time than she otherwise would have done? And that is all going to be playing on the riders' minds. You are playing chess whilst riding a bike. That is what makes cycling so great.
Well, talking about playing chess while riding a bike, we're in with Bjarhead at the moment, whose heart rate's at 168. We've seen her heart rate go up closer to 198. So it's a game of chess and a game of watching each other there. But it is indeed our group going through segment number 5.
Well, segment number 5, 2.5 kilometres, a key 2.5 kilometres of the ride, of the race. And you can see that Alves has the fastest time by 1.85 seconds. But just as importantly, that's a long segment. It's a long time she's held that pace up there. If you look at the numbers, she's putting out 4.8 watts per kilo versus 3.8 for the nearest rider to her. She's working well. She's working strongly. There's big watts coming out. And judging by the volume of watts that she's putting down there, this is an attack where she really means it. She's gone hard. She's still holding 4.9. The chase behind is now starting to lift up behind to try and bring her back on this climb out. But this is where Alves can really cement her place on the race at the moment. If she can push over the top, she's going to be strong. It was showing on that segment. And you know what? If she keeps on going here, it means that the riders behind are going to be working out, because the chase will be putting riders in trouble. Maybe not the riders at the front, but the riders at the back of this group could be in trouble because it's on the climb.
I think whilst we may see one or two riders drop off the back of this, I think we've got such quality in this group of these Category 1 riders that we're going to still see quite a large group going into the base of this climb together, because coming up for 25 kilometres travelled and raced, there's only 2K now to get into the base of that Category 2 climb. And it's a pretty flat, once they're out of this climb, Matt, it's a pretty flat 2 kilometres. And I think that's going to benefit this group in terms of momentum and travel, but also in terms of the recovery in their legs before they get to the bottom of that 8K climb.
Well, at the moment, as Alves goes over the top, she has recovery time in hand. She can literally ease right off, let the group catch her, and do some serious recovery on the way through. The rest of the group are going to have to work all the way to her. If they don't, they are not going to find they're going to catch her. So this is really key. She's got that sliding room. Maybe she's going to continue at pace into the climb and get as much head start as possible. But this group is still not one long line, and that's what it needs to be. They are on the way into the climb here. They are looking good.
Yeah, well, I think the interesting point to note here is our Category 1 race field are around 2 kilometres behind our Category 2 race field. They are looking like they are 2.5 kilometres behind our Category 3 race field. And they are, I would say, looking at that, 4.3 kilometers behind our leaders on the road. And that category 4 rider, it's Gonzalez, who is leading that category 4 race well and truly now onto that climb, onto that final climb of the day, that category 2 climb where that checkered flag is at the top. And look at that ride behind Matt. They are close. She's not broken them yet.
She's not even close to broken them. That is really, really tough stuff here, because when those riders are now lined out like this, you can see they are dot to dot here. They are 1s and 2. At the moment, it's Agudelo who is in second place. We know Agudelo's class, but she is a teammate of Gonzalez on that recreational runner squad. Then you can see it's Fernanda. Now, Fernanda is on the UW Kawais, and they are chasing hard. So category number 4 race still wide open. And I think if those 2 riders at the front could get together, that combination, that support is going to be key. Now, look at this. This is a more concerted chase. We are moving here, 41 kilometers an hour, Emma. This is what they've got to do if they want to get Alves back and make that gap come down sufficiently for Alves to work before the climb. Alves is at the moment in the prime position. She got the gap. She doesn't need to work. She could rest. She can choose. It's her race now to make those decisions of what she wants to do. She's nearly 20 seconds down the road, and look at that on segment 6.
Yeah.
Real difference there. 3 seconds faster on segment 6. How long segment 6, Emma?
It's a 1 kilometer segment. So Alves setting the quickest time through there in 1:29, 3 seconds faster than Embring, who is the rider leading that pack through the segment. From that category 1 race field. But interesting to see that category 1 race pack. The chase group, I think, really starting to pick up the pace now. And you can see Embring, Cavajal, Bardeskaya, Ramirez, Menendez, Quevedo, Biarhead, Thua, Montoya, Bauer and Rendon, all in that group now. 17 riders in that group with Alves out front. So really starting to motor now in that category 1 race field.
Come on, Fernanda Alves. This is what I was talking about. She's got 20 seconds on this climb. The rest of the riders are hitting the base of the climb. They are on to the ascent. This is going to be really, really key. I think these guys are going to really, really close this down. Let's see how these riders get on the chase. Now the attack starts to go. Brogan and Bauer and Rondon at the moment. Look at the numbers, Scott. Look at the red there. They are moving at pace. They are moving at speed. And look at the damage that's being done behind. Anybody in trouble now is going to really be in trouble at the top.
Yep, and that's only the first 250 meters of this category 2 climb. That pack utilized that flatland into the climb. They motored, they pushed, they all came in, and they kicked hard when they got to the bottom of that climb. It's almost like there was a little sign at the road, bottom of the road, saying kick here.
That's what you want. You come into the climb, you know that you've got to push on, you know there's a rider up the road, but you also know that you've got to distance everybody else, and you've got to think at the same time about your teammates. If you kick hard and distance your teammate, what have you done? You could have just sacrificed the whole team game. But look at the charge coming up here. We've just seen a massive run right through the group, and you could just see these riders at the moment, they are yo-yoing backwards and forwards. They can't get that pace right.
Yeah, well, talking about yo-yoing backwards and forwards, we had 17 riders in this pack come into the bottom of that race field, and we are seeing them push on, and I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 riders in our camera shot at the moment. So we've lost a number of riders here already, Matt, on this climb, as these category 1 riders push on and push on hard in these early stages.
It is early stage of the climb, but for me, what's really key here, who's left, who's not, who's in these teams, and what is the gap? Look at the numbers to Alves. It's still hovering at 20 seconds. She's responding here to the push behind. And this is where you can see Gemma Brogan now starting to wind this up. And Brogan is one of our real class riders. I mean, week in, week out, Brogan and Bauer, in fact, pretty much for the last year or so, have been the riders to beat in category 1. People like Quevedo have challenged. We've seen people come up and challenge them. But we know when Brogan and Bauer hit the front, then all hell is going to break loose. It really is when the action kicks off. That is when we know things are getting serious. And you can see top right hand side of your screen, There is a gap opening. There are groups fracturing, and the pressure is on. And it's not just because they push hard, it's because everybody else knows they're doing it. Everybody responds. If you saw me going down the road, most people wouldn't even bother because you know that they're going to be close me down. You see Brogan go, you see Bauer go, you're going to be on them like a shot because you know if you're not on them quick, you're going to get distance, and that it's going to put you in trouble. Really fast riding here, and you can see everybody wants to be with them. Now, unfortunately for Bauer and Brogan, it's a bit like having a target on your back. You are the rider. You are the one that people know they've got to beat. But it's possible.
Well,
and that's what's great about riding on here, that because you're on a big climb, because it changes on the run in, what people do beforehand affects what happens on this hill.
Well, you are right, Matt. You know, Brogan's had 1 first and 1 second this month. Bauer's had 2 seconds and 1 third this month. And, you know, their teammate Cavado has had a first and a third as well. So, you know, that Crank Sisters squad is absolutely outstanding as we see Brogan just go past her teammate Bauer. Now, having those two on the same team is it's just soul destroying for the other riders in this race, because we know both Bauer and Brogan are outstanding climbers, and Cavado is no slouch either. So talking about no slouch, we are back in with our Category 3 riders now. Antico is 2 minutes up the road. She's the rider leading this Category 3 race. It was around 1 minute 20 seconds going into the base of the climb, and she has pushed on even harder. She's extended her lead on the climb, and this is the chase group in that Category 3 race. But there is Antico. She's continuing to tap a steady pace for herself on this climb, and Antico here really coming to the fore on this climb. So Antico in 1, then we've got the chasers just nearly 2 minutes back of Golden Light, Maria Hugito, Carla Fioroni, Adriana Barco is there, Montoya and Ribaldo. So these riders well and truly onto this final climb now, and within the last 5 kilometers of this race, we've got 1 Category 3 rider out, and it's looking like we've got 4 riders chasing, with a 5th rider, Light, just 2 seconds back off this group.
Really interesting to watch the riding here. I think my jaw has only just come back off the floor when you said Antico was 2 minutes up the road. Alicia Antico has been aggressive all the way through. It really is true to form to see her in action in this way and to put in the pressure on. What I'm seeing here with the Category 1 is that same sort of aggression and pressure being put on. This part of the gorge where the road comes around this tight left-hand turn, we've seen it before on this climb. Really, really important part of the climb here, because if you put the pressure on as it levels out coming out from here, it's a key point where you can make a lot of distance very, very quickly, but you've got to get the momentum right coming through here. We know that people like Jessenia Menendez can do this, that Bauer can do this. We're seeing riders like Carvajal start to push on here, and they're getting in there. But that section as you come around that turn is key. And I think also with that lack of vision as you come round, you might not be on a tarmac road on the climb of Yebel Case in person, but the way that the road turns and moves is so realistic that you do find yourself pushing around those corners if you're not careful, and you can overextend. But you can also put others under pressure, and that's why we see this yo-yoing on here. Great to see our Category 1 riders riding so strongly at the moment. Bauer, Brogan and Cavado, what a trio up there for the team. They're looking good at the moment.
They are indeed looking good, but what's really interesting, Matt, is only 700 metres further up the road, it is a massive pack of Category 2 riders still all together on this climb. You know, they've been climbing for 3 kilometres, and look at the size of that group. They are indeed about to come up onto these Category 3 riders. They are catching, but do you know what? That Category 1 pack and the attack from Alves has really closed the gap between Category 1 and Category 2.
All these groups coming together on the mountain at the moment. This is a really critical part of the race now. As we come up, we are 4 kilometres to the finish at the moment. Really, really key for me that the riders pay attention. It's something really crazy in people's heads. 5K is a critical number, absolutely critical number for people. Now, just taking a look here, Jenny Sanchez just starting to be distanced off that leading group, but more importantly, she's going to see these riders coming through. She's going to take some little bit of inspiration, I hope, from this, as we see the kick coming from Brogan, who comes up past her there, being followed there by Cavado, being followed by Bauanca, Varhal and Menezes, but you can just see, look, those numbers are in the red.
Yeah, and it was indeed Jenny Sanchez who was one of the early leaders in our Category 2 race. She'd put in a huge attack earlier on. She is the rider now being distanced from that Category 2 lead group, and she's just been passed by that Category 1 group as well.
Next big kick coming, Brogan just drops into the saddle, back out again, and look at this. Brogan, I think, is wanting to break them. She's moving her way up on this 7%, a sloping right-hand turn. You can see below, it's a long way down, but the rest are responding. The moment they get on the wheel, though, look at this, another kick again. Now, Brogan and Bauer and Cavado will want to drop the rest of the riders in here. It's going to be key for them to lose people like Arias from free riders. They won't want her breaking in to the prize money at the top of the standings. Remember, only 5 riders taking away the individual prizes, and if you can get your team to be, your winning team to be in those top 5 as well, you're going to have a great payday, and just as importantly, you're going to really stamp your authority on what is a key part of the racing season. We are in the finals of March. We have got 3 qualifiers in the final in April. Then we are into the MyWhoosh Championships. If you are saying, I am strong now, I am the rider to beat now, you're putting the rest on the back foot for that championships,
yeah,
and that's really important.
Indeed, the registration for those championships opens tomorrow, and you need to head over to mywhoosh.com and take a look at all the information around the MyWhoosh Championships to ensure that you register correctly and you adhere to all the verification processes that you need to for selection. But Alves is the rider still out front today on the March finals of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Cup. That gap is coming down, you know, because the charge being led by the Crank sisters, by Brogan, Bauer and Cavado with Menezes. It's down to 5 seconds. 5 seconds now is the gap to Alves. And the only person in the way is Angie Parra at the moment, who is the back of that Category 2 race field.
Well, I'll tell you something, Angie Parra is one of our regular riders, a real hero, I think, of the racing on MyWhoosh. Always love to see her on the attack in the earlier stages, but this is when it's really going to count. We've just seen Brogan there closing down on Alves, and she's opening up the gap to her teammate Bauer. Bauer and Cavado are not going to respond too quickly to that because they'll want to see Brogan get down the road, but she's closing in on Alves. You can see that gap up here, and you can see how hard Brogan is working, 163 beats per minute. But for me, key number on that top left-hand side of your screen is the pedal cadence. 87 to 90 revs per minute. She's keeping it high. Don't let it drop, Gemma, here. This is where it's key. Keeping those revs, keeping that momentum, and keeping it smooth. We've still got 3 kilometers to the finish, and that's a long way on a climb like this.
Yeah, it is indeed. Still 3 kilometers to go, but we have seen this year Brogan really coming into form and really finding her climbing legs, and she has shown us time after time over the last few weeks that she is a consummate climber, and with a teammate as Bauer, it's absolutely outstanding. So on the right hand side of your screen, though, we are now seeing the leader on the road, and that is our lead in the Category 4 race. You know, this Category 4 race, Matt, has been so good, but it's Agudelo who is currently leading that race at 34.1 kilometers, so just under 900 meters to go for Agudelo, our leader on the road at the moment. The front of our Category 1 race is at 32.4 kilometers, so I think Agudelo is going to be our first rider over the line today on our Sunday Race Club.
I don't think there's much doubt about that, to be brutally honest, with that kind of gap, no matter how fast category. So 3, 2 and 1 go. Now this is the lead of the Category 2. You can see Manuela Sanchez in here. She's been climbing well, but a real mix. Olsen in here, Lanteri. Good to see Elodie Reynard right up in the mix. Novelin Kekkonen. I tell you something, they are pulling it out when it matters, and they are really working hard here. They're going to hit this big pack of Category three riders. And you can see another big push coming as they go in and through. We're just watching Sanchez at the moment, but I think you're going to see a real kick from those Category 2 riders coming through, because nobody will want to get caught in the confusion. And this is that key tight section coming around the gorge. They've really got to push on here. They're at 33k. The riders know there's not far to go. They really have to move.
Yeah, I know. And we talked about the strength and depth of this Category 2 race field. This pack have done over 5 kilometres of this climb together. And 9 riders today on the start sheets in Category 2 had all taken top 5 positions this month. And I think that is absolutely evident in the size of that race pack, currently coming up for over 33 kilometres travelled. Very different in this Category 1 race. Alves still out front by around 8 seconds. Brogan is the chasing rider, and then it's 9 seconds back to her teammate Bauer and Menezes, who are in the chase group behind. And we've just gone through the final arch of segment 7 today. Matt, take us through.
So you can see Gemma Brogan with that fastest time going in and through, 14 seconds quicker than Alves. That's how much time she closed down on that section of the climb. Really strong ride though by the Crank Sisters team there. Look at them in first, second, fourth, fifth places. That is a great ride, and you can see at the moment it's only the top 7 Category 1 riders who have gone up there faster than that battle you were just talking about in Category 2. Hadlock, Carana, Olsen, Montoya, Osario really pushing on there. Now Gemma Brogan has to push. That gap had gone back out to 9 seconds. She's closing down, but right-hand side of your screen, it's your leader on the road at the moment.
Yeah, and Agudelo is going to do it. She's got 100 metres to go, and she can see that yellow banner, which is the finish banner. It is the checkered flag at the top of this Category 2 climb that Agudelo is pushing towards. She's got 12 seconds on second place, and Agudelo is going to do it. So Agudelo is the rider who comes through to take the win on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. She is your winner in category number 4.
So first rider over the line there for Agudelo in Category 4. Great ride. Great to see that competition coming. Fantastic to see that battle there. Now, Alves at the moment leading Category number 1. The rider who's on your screen is just going over the top of Montoya at the moment, but Brogan is hovering at around about 5 to 10 seconds. It's a real pursuit match in these final kilometers up here. Who is going to have the mental power to break the other rider here? Is Alves or Brogan going to be able to do it? Because these riders are so evenly matched. We've seen it week in, week out. The riders battle all the way to the line. Alves at the moment, though, is continuing to push on, but that gap, it is still yo-yoing between 5 and 10 seconds. Our Category 1 riders, however, key for me, 21st place. We're coming into the final. Those riders in Categories 2, 3 and 4 have done an amazing ride.
Well, these Category 1 women, Matt, are within the last kilometre now of this race today, and Alves is being chased by Brogan, and it is indeed the Crank Sisters who have sent Gemma Brogan up the road, because Bauer, Menezes and Quevedo are behind. If we take a look over on the right-hand side of your screen, we've got the lead of the Category 2 race field, catching the Category 3 race field, but they're still not at Alessia Antico here. They're still clear in that Category 3 race. But take a look at the size of that pack, Matt, in the Category 2 race, and they've got 550 metres till the line.
They have, and they're trying to close it down. We've on the leader of Category 3, Alessia Antico. What a ride by her in Category 3. She's been chased by the Category 2. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, great work by the team behind the scenes here, bringing us these pictures. Antico on the right-hand side. When we saw Agudelo take the win solo, Antico's looking to do the same. There's a bunch of Category 2 riders chasing it, and Alessia Antico really flying up here. Great ride by her. Look at her go.
Yeah, she is moving, and she's moving strongly. She's got 100 metres till that Category 2 ride group will see her, and she's only got 170 metres till the finish banner. In fact, she can see that yellow banner ahead of her if she takes a look up off of the road. So with 120 metres to go, Antico is going to take the win in this Category 3 race field, but can she make it to the line before the win in the Category 2?
Category 2 are on the way. They are trying to sprint up. It's going to be simultaneously across the line here. This is the fight for the line. Here they go. Who's going to take it coming through? I think Manuela Sanchez was the first over the line there, being followed by the rest of the group, but it was so tight. Let's take a look. I think it is Sanchez from Ginelli, from Montoya, from Olsen, from Barrio Serna, and then Osorio. They're the top 5 in category 2. We've got Antica coming through in 3, and this is our leader in category 1.
Yeah, so Fernando Alves still out front of this race. Brogan is 10 seconds behind. Alves is going to take the win today for the category 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club March final as Alves comes over the line. Just behind will be Gemma Brogan. She's looking up and she can see the finish there. Brogan is going to come in second place in this category 1 race field. She's got category 2 riders coming in all around her as Brogan crosses the line in 2. Brogan's been in 2, and there's a race on behind. We've got Quevedo, Menendez, Bauer are all in here. These riders are pushing, and they are pushing hard. It's going to be Quevedo who comes over in 3, I think. No, it's her teammate Menendez. So Alves, Brogan, Menendez, Geraldo, Arrayas, Quevedo, and Bauer.
What a finish, and look at the results on there. The top 7 category 1 riders in and through the line at the top of the standings at the moment, just ahead of those category 2 riders that you can see in there. Great ride by Alves to take that win, 15 seconds clear, and then another 13 seconds on the way behind was the Crank Sisters, Jessenia Menendez. It's been great to come across from the men's race to watch this battle and see the Crank Sisters take what is going to be a team win. Such a strong ride by them, Emma, and great to catch up with the end of this after having watched a great men's race as well.
Yeah, so you are going to need to head over to mywhoosh.com to find the results of today for both the men's race and the women's race. And those results will be unofficial until verification has taken place. So head over to mywhoosh.com and you can follow MyWhoosh on other social media platforms today. Where can we find you, Matt?
It is at Matt Fixer Paint on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Strava, because I do occasionally ride a bike. It has been known. And Emma, we can find you where?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram or Emma Martin on Facebook. And do please get in touch. It's always good to know what you are up to, and let us know where you are riding in the world as well. So we've had some fantastic racing for the March final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club today. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe, enjoy your riding, and thank you very much for being with us today. From Matt, from myself, and from the whole team at MyWhoosh, thank you very much. Goodbye.